Dorothy Ginter. J.D. Oh, here she is. I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
Take your time.
County Executive Baker,
Hello.
County Council members and residents. My name is Dorothy Ginter, and I live on Valerie Lane down in South Laurel. I've lived in Prince George's County since 1966 and at my current address since 1969. I have followed and seen almost 50 years of change in this county, and not all of it for the better, because I feel that a top functioning school system is the key to this county's future, much more so than just new development, which entails vastly expensive infrastructure investments and invariably negatively impacts the current residents. My first priority is for the county budget is that of the public school system, but not necessarily for the programs that will be proposed by that school system. I have volunteered in the county schools almost continuously since 1966 and have observed many changes in the system, and again, not all for the better. In various elementary and high schools, and programs as varied as the talented and gifted, remedial education, special education, libraries, and the IB program, with a combination of excellent, average, and mediocre teachers and principals. And I believe strongly in developing a partnership between the schools and the county libraries. It is my personal observation that unless the educational system quits treating each child to the same cookie-cutter type of instruction, such as pulling children out of class for special instruction, but still expecting the poor kid to pass state exams on the subject matter that was missed, and quits making excuses, for example, poverty, other issues, for not succeeding in teaching the children, and truly individualizes the instruction for each child, we are probably doomed to failure. From my observations over the years, the statistics that you quote as having risen do not truly reflect the progress of education that is actually taking place in the schools. Since there is a projected shortfall in revenues, my suggestions for prioritization would be to spend more on education and services to the residents, such as maintenance of existing transportation facilities and roads, and less on providing extremely expensive roads and highways for new development. Spend less on administration of county services in all the county agencies and the school system, and more on the actual services themselves. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity for me to air my opinions. Thank you.
Thank you.
J.D. Perkins.
Good evening.
Good evening to my councilwoman, Mary Lehman. My name is J.D. Perkins. I am the Vice President of the Vansville Heights Citizens Association. Vansville Heights is located in Beltsville. I am here to echo several people. One is my president, Barack Hussein Obama, who is stressing education. Number two, I am here to back up a commercial you see on TV where it expresses the notion that there are all these jobs that will become available but will not be fulfilled because we will not have qualified people to accept them because of our current educational system. I am here. If you've watched one of those commercials, the young man explains how 20,000 jobs will be available, but they'll have to go elsewhere to get them. Karen Coakley has expressed a desire for $100,000 to be utilized to check into the feasibility of building a new High Point school, which is an old school and is in very desperate need of repair. And I've also been informed that it's cheaper to build another school than it is to do this one. However, I'm not qualified to say that. But a $100,000 fee, I believe, would go into a study making that decision either pro or con. But in either case, the school needs to be taken care of. And it seems that we always cut education, and I'm only thinking it's being cut because they're too young to vote. They don't pay taxes. I have grandchildren who attend High Point. I also volunteer at Vansville School. So without further ado, sir, I'm asking that you all decide on the future in a positive way and grant the money, $100,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Maxine Brown Roberts.
Good evening, and good evening, everyone. I'm here to just give a few words in support of Mr. Fisher and the First Generation College Bound program. I will just tell you a little bit about my experience. I have 3 sons. One went to college, the other one is in college. The third is in 12th grade, preparing to go to college. And they all have been working with Mr. Fisher on preparing for college. One of the things that I like about the program is the individual attention that the students get. And many of the students are from households that are not able to offer them the support to go to college. And I think that this program has helped these children to see that even if they don't have the finances in their family situation, there are other ways of getting to go to college. And therefore, I would really like to stand here and ask for your support for this program, and so that they can continue their good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last speaker of the evening will be Tom DeNoga.
Come on down.
Good evening, County Executive Baker. I'm Tom DeNoga, President of the Friends of the Laurel Library.
And former council member. Welcome glad to have you here.
Thank you, sir.
District
I'm speaking
1.
on behalf of the Laurel Friends, and I have some of the officers of the Friends back here. We're very concerned about the potential impact of the projected county budget shortfall in the Prince George's County Municipal Library System. With the size of the projected budget shortfall, it's typical for the administration to seek proposals for reduced budgets from every department. However, looking at the library system, reducing the budget by any significant amount will have serious effects on the system and therefore the citizens of the county that rely heavily on their community libraries. The result will have to be a reduction in staffing, causing reduction in hours, and closure of library branches. The impact of such reductions and closures will have a negative effect on the quality of life of the county. As you know, the library budget is part of the education category of the budget. It is no less part of the educational infrastructure than the school system or the community college. As someone who considers himself an education county executive, you cannot reduce contributions to the library system by 15% or even 10% and expect quality of life in the county to improve. In such a scenario, good to great becomes good to gone. Reducing, and I pulled out of your webpage, the archives, this is the library system budget over the last 9 years. And as you can see, it peaked in 2008, as some of the speakers have mentioned, and then it dropped precipitously after the budget crisis, only to go up this current year. Now, the increase this current year is largely due to the opening of the South Bowie Library. So for most libraries, they're not actually seeing a budget increase. This is really just reflecting the growth of the system by a new library. If you were actually to reduce the county portion of the library budget this year by as much as 15%, you would actually go back to about a $22 million budget, which would take us back to fiscal year 2005. So you would basically see 10 years of library budget growth disappear overnight. And I know that the administration has to look at proposals and options. I would encourage you to resist this option. Now, obviously, the county will have to reduce expenditures if the projected shortfall is accurate, and there are many mechanisms for the county to do so, and I spent a number of years arm wrestling Mr. Himmler over these types of things. I'll make a couple suggestions. This list is not exhaustive.
You know he's here tonight.
I know he is. That's why I mentioned him. He always appreciated those arm wrestling sessions. I'm not sure who won. First, you're projecting a $27 million budget deficit this year with almost half a year to go. Please start reducing expenditures now. I'm sure you have. Second, in a typical year, the county expenses increase about $60 million a year just by natural growth. Your administration, according to the handouts, projecting an increase of about $123 million of reduction next year, or expenditure increase next year, which would suggest that you have issues that you need to address and that you need to explain to the public. An increase of double the typical base amount raises questions about whether the expenditures are under control. And your handout this evening that was on the website doesn't adequately address this, and I think that would be helpful to the public if it had more explanation. It would seem that you need to freeze vacancies, delay expenditures, cut overtime, and to piggyback on Ms. Coakley, especially in the fire department, which is notorious for out-of-control expenditures of overtime, rather notorious. That means you need to make peace with the volunteers and rely on them to do more, as your predecessor ultimately learned was necessary. And third, as you note, you will have to dip into reserves. Of course, while this is necessary to a point, that's not a wise policy, as you know, for long-term continuing expenditures. That's only going to take you so far. Fourth, the $50 million business incentive fund. That's great, but businesses will not come if you cannot provide basic services like maintain a library system or pave neighborhood streets, so you may want to dip into that as part of your incentive to businesses to come, is maintaining some of these critical infrastructures. Fifth, if you have increasing debt service costs at a time of low interest rates and a AAA bond rating, you need to scale back capital improvements to some degree. Six, you need to reduce the amount of discretionary grants to the county executive and the county council they give away each year. I know everybody enjoys receiving those, including some of the nonprofits that I'm associated with, but still, the county executive has a much larger amount, and hopefully you'll look at some of those discretionary funds. Now, having been through this situation before, I know there are many more steps that your administration can take to try to deal with the projected shortfall, but it's clear from the presentation that your administration needs to rein in expenditure increases, not pay for them by making drastic cuts in critical areas like the library system. Drastic cuts of this nature will not instill confidence in constituents nor in prospective businesses that you're hoping to attract. And I thank you for your consideration, and we look forward to your budget proposal, your official proposal in March.
Thank you very much.
We have one more additional speaker.
Oh, good.
Caleb Lewis is a student that would like to speak.
And
It's I go to the library pretty much every day after school. I only live about 5 blocks from it. It's a very safe, very close area. I often do my homework there. I have better access to the internet to help do my work. There are great programs, like if you've noticed in the Laurel branch, there's a French story time thing going on as we speak. Which, well, I'm taking a language course right here. I know how hard that can be. My mother has a netbook, and I can realize how easy, and there are certain advantages to funding the libraries, because then I can download certain books, like I've downloaded a book very recently. Thank you.
thank you very much. That's it. Thank you very much. When do we present our budget for that? Thank you very much. That concludes our hearing, and we will be presenting the budget to the council on the March 14th. So I'm sure they're going to do their own public hearing. So we will take your comments back, and if you want, you can still send us information to our office of Budget and Management if you have ideas. Thank you.